Okay. Well, I know we will have attendees trickling in, but I thought we could kick things off and just welcome everyone here to the FYI by Find Your Influence. My name is Chelsea Goodson. I'm the head of creator economy here at Find Your Influence, and I'm really excited to be jumping into today's topic. We're discussing all things influencer or the influence of things with Find Your Influence. Topics will include, but are not limited to, content creation, inspiration, tools, how to work with brands, and more. I'm excited to introduce you to my guest panelist, Avalon Vandercook. She is our Junior Director of Influencer Management and Platform Services here at FYI. Avalon, I will send it over to you to get a little introduction about yourself.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. I feel like I've been following the webinars for quite some time, so it's really nice to be a part of them. But yeah, I have been with Find Your Influence for a little over 5 years now. Started as an influencer manager and was able to learn the ins and outs of influencer marketing. So throughout those 5 years, I feel like I've been able to gather a lot of knowledge, and I'm just happy to share that with our audience today.
Yes, yes. And I've been so lucky to work with you these past
Yes.
5 years, Avalon. And this conversation just feels like a conversation with an old friend because it's just that. So really excited to have you. Obviously, we have both worked on the influencer side of the house for so long. So this is up our alley, and it's going to be a really fun conversation. To kick things off, I thought we could start just with a question. You kind of already alluded to it a little bit, Avalon, but how did you get started working within the influencer marketing space?
Yes. So I would say a little over like 7 years. I had a marketing internship. I believe I was a senior in college at the time. And from that internship, that really like sparked just, I guess, like an eagerness to learn the industry a little bit more. I think Instagram was in its prime when I was in college. So that was really like the start of like Instagram influencers. And I quickly just developed this, I would say, like passion for the industry and for influencers in the Instagram space early on, right out of college. And then from that marketing internship, I came across FYI, and they took a chance on me, like I said, over 5 years ago, ever since, and it's just now. But yeah, I would say that's probably like the early stages of my experience with influencer marketing.
I love that. I love to hear it. I
Yeah.
feel like we have similar backgrounds and things starting early, especially within college and then evolving from there. I know you've heard my story before, but I was one of those chronically online
Yes.
teenagers, if not teenagers, who was so interested with the internet and online blogging and things like that. And that slowly led me to my career today. But those internships, I feel like, are really great in college. And if we have anyone who is in that space right now, would encourage you to reach
Yeah.
favorite brands and see who's doing influencer work, and encourage you to spend some time in that space. It's always interesting to learn, and you never know where it's going to take you.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like our internship program is such a cool program. We've had a lot of like really, really cool things spark from that. So
Yeah.
definitely encourage that too, and get to work with us too, which who doesn't love that? But
Yes, yes, you can find that if you go to our website. At the bottom, there's a career section, and there is a link to our internship program application. So feel free to fill that out. So speaking of, over the years, things have changed a lot, and I wanted to ask you, how do you think like the space has overall evolved? I mean, obviously, we're talking about Instagram was in its prime. I feel like nowadays, there are top leaders like TikTok in the space. How do you feel like things have evolved?
yeah, I mean, they definitely have evolved over the years. It's actually wild to just kind of think back. I think even just looking at like the past year, it's evolved so much. But I would say in the beginning, when I got into this space, especially throughout just Instagram, it was more of a place to kind of like promote a specific lifestyle or maybe brands, getting brand promotion, things like that. And now it's really evolved into, being able to track performances. Now there's AI analytics. Platforms have just evolved in terms of like TikTok, YouTube. Calculate specific analytics has evolved so much since the beginning of the influencer space. So that's been really cool to see. And I think a lot of brands have moved into influencer marketing, maybe even like moved away from like ad space,
Right.
just because they're seeing a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, the analytics, I feel like, are the biggest point that you bring up.
Yeah.
Um, Gone are the days of the wild, wild west, I think, within the influencer
Yeah.
marketing space. And every year there is a new way to dial in a bit further and make sure that we're truly meeting the goals of our clients. And I think that's really to the influencers' benefit as well, because at the end of the day, if you have a happy client, they are more than likely to continue working with you. So that's something that's so important. Uh,
Yeah.
so
I was gonna say too, just like in the beginning, I feel like it was harder for you know, our side to basically share that performance with people. Now we have the numbers, the breakouts, things like that, and to be able to teach someone that has maybe less knowledge in the influencer space through that data and those analytics is also really cool. Like people who have not had any experience in influencer marketing are now looking towards influencer marketing because we're able to teach them specifics and analytics.
it is ever evolving, and today I feel like there's a lot to take in. But again, it's I think to everyone's benefit because it allows us to make much more sophisticated recommendations, suggestions, and same for the influencers as well. They really know now, like down to pinpointing
Yeah.
what their audience is loving and liking. So speaking of that, curious to hear your thoughts on, an influencer having a niche and what might be a benefit of having that. I feel like we go through waves over the years of you have to be very specific in terms of your content. You are only an Austin, content creator, or you are only a healthy eating influencer. You're not more than that. Of course, you are more than that personally, but you're
Yeah.
doing more than that online. To going very broad and saying, I talk about everything. I live in Austin, so I talk about this. I am a mother, so I talk about this, whatever it may be. But how important do you think it is for someone to have a niche, and what might be the benefits of having that, if so?
I feel like this question has like come up with clients a lot too as of recently. I feel like a specific niche is pretty crucial for that influencer. It definitely helps build like a level of loyalty with their audience. I feel like it can also help with like specific engagement. Like typically, so, like a follower, somebody that's like the influencer's audience is wanting to engage with that specific niche. So that's maybe why they found that influencer in the first place. And they'll continue to keep coming back if they want to maybe, like you said, like eat healthy foods. They're going to keep going on to that influencer's page to find those healthy recipes, things like that. So I would say it's pretty crucial these days. I think you are able to step outside of the box and kind of test things, but I will say um, to keep that like level of loyalty within your audience, that niche is pretty crucial.
Yeah, you just said a really important word, which I think is loyalty, and that goes, I think, hand in hand with authenticity as well.
Yeah.
You're really doing good to tee up my next question, but we're talking about, how do you authentically show who you are? So talking about having that niche and kind of showing a balance of, who you are and what you do, and then maybe also your life outside of online, and also working with a brand to make sure that the content that you are creating for them really aligns not only with their wants and wishes, which is ideal, but also with your own, because that's how you um, keep growing that authenticity and that loyalty within your audience. I wanted to see if you had any suggestions for any influencer out there who is maybe struggling to figure out that balance for themselves.
Like ensuring that if you're going to take a collaboration, like make sure it fits with your content, even if it's outside of like taking a collaboration, like before you're posting a video, like make sure it does feel authentic to yourself. I think sometimes you'll see creators like put something out online and you can like being someone that's like viewing the content, you'll be able to like see if it feels right for that creator or not. Typically, most of the time, like you can tell through the content if it is authentic or not. So that being said, I feel like don't put out anything that like doesn't feel right to you. Your audience know you probably more than you might not think. So you'll be able to get that feedback. That's another thing too. I would say like engage with your audience and like listen to the feedback that they're providing, because that might be able to help you like find that feeling of authenticity within your content too.
I like what you said about, your audience probably knows you better than you think. Which happens, I mean, obviously, influencers, I'll speak for myself as someone who's put their life online for many years. I think it's pretty easy for someone to view you and have a picture, if you will, a picture
Mhm.
of your life and what you're like. And sometimes you might even say something just on the side, or might show something that is a part of your daily life that maybe you don't show as often, still feels authentic to you. Maybe it's
Yeah,
a photo of you going to your favorite coffee shop or something like that. And if you don't show it very often, when it does come up, someone might say like, "Oh, I knew you loved that place," or they'll remember things. It's
totally.
really those bits and pieces that I think sticks with an audience. It makes it memorable for them to come
Yeah,
like, "Oh, like I really do know you," and that really does feel authentic to you.
yeah.
You might not talk about it often.
I
Um,
saw one of my favorite creators online like not too long ago, and they were like, for all my for all my fan or like for all my followers who have followed me since day one, or like whenever they say that, I'm always like, oh yeah, that was
yeah.
me.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
feel like that helps too. So I know that they're looking, like creators are looking for that feedback from their followers as well too.
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of, creating content and having be authentic, how do you feel like someone could stand out in this space right now? There's a lot of noise, obviously, online. We've gone through already this year a platform closure and reopen,
Yeah.
and just a lot of changes. But is there any specific recommendation that you might make to someone who's saying, like, how does my content stand out? How do I, showcase not only like who I am, but also as a creative within the space?
Yeah. That's like a great question. I think there are so many like changes with the influence or with the industry right now and influencers in general. And what I'm seeing like working for a lot of influencers, I will say specifically on TikTok, I'm seeing it kind of move to Instagram too, but is storytelling. I think that that is standing out because I I'm feeling like the world is wanting to see influencers and creators be a bit more real online. We're moving into like that space with TikTok. It's a little bit more, or it's a little bit less like put together. It's a kind of a bit more candid. And I think that storytelling is really starting to pick up. Like creators are talking about maybe a past like date that they went on, and it's very like it feels really realistic, and there's so many people that can relate to it, and it's starting to like get traction, and people are following them and picking them things up through that. So I would say storytelling is standing out right now. There's obviously some other trends that work too, and I think being authentic to your content and to your audience is like, I know we've already chatted about that, but that's huge. Like as like you don't want to tell a story if it doesn't feel like right for you, or if it's not something that you would share. Maybe there's a certain level of like what you share online. But I will say I feel like that trend right now is picking up, and we're seeing a lot of creators almost gain this immense amount of followers through their storytelling.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. I feel like in the like 2014, 2015, somewhere right around there,
Yeah,
storytelling was big also, but in a different way. I felt like it
like
was almost,
YouTube.
yeah, on YouTube
Yeah, yeah.
specifically, and it was a bit dramatic. Not to say that that's not fun and enjoyable, because it is, right? We all
Clickbait.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we all love a hook. We watch movies, I think, for that reason. But I think the storytelling today, like you said, is different, and it's a bit more vulnerable, real. It kind of lets you into the life of your favorite creator, and knowing what they
yeah,
said a date, maybe they went on a date and it didn't quite go as they had
yeah.
do something like that. I wanted to talk about growth next, but you kind of hit on it. Like that's really a way that someone could continue to grow organically, which I feel like is I mean, the ever growing question, algorithm change often. And I feel like that is something that really sits with a creator because for them, maybe they've finally, hit the nail on the head, they're having growth, and then something changed. Outside of storytelling, do you have any other recommendations for organic growth overall and what an influencer might do to continue to evolve within their own space?
Yeah, I'm also seeing like another, I don't know if you would necessarily call this a trend, but creators are collaborating with other creators in their niche. And I'm really seeing that take off. And it's as a follower to some of these creators, for me, it's I might be following an influencer who then collaborates with an influencer that's in the same space, in this talking about this like the same niche or whatever it might be. And then I go and follow that next creator because I'm like, oh, that's a great recommendation for me. So I will say that's another kind of unique way of also like maintaining growth and kind of getting out into an audience or reaching um, another audience that you might not have gotten to. I saw this gal from the US collaborate with a girl from Sweden recently, and they did like a little I want to say like brand trip and meet and greet or something like that. And I typically don't follow many people from Sweden, but I was like, wow, I love her content. Like she's talking about the same hair products, things like that. And I thought that was a really unique way of growing your audience. And I think I'm seeing that like kind of stand out from other ways of growth too. But that's obviously a little bit kind of like a smaller way of maintaining growth. But I would say to bring it
Or
back to your question, probably like engaging with your audience, making sure you're like letting them know that you see them and hear them and like appreciate them. That always like feels really good as like somebody that is watching specific content. And then I would say, staying, like I said, like staying loyal to your brand, your niche, things like that too.
Yeah, I agree. I loved your idea on collaborating with other creators. There is an influencer by the name of Pretty Little Fawn online. She's been around forever.
Yeah.
Her name is Courtney Halverston, and she does these beautiful cinematic videos and often works with other creators to almost like recreate a scene that might be in a movie or something similar. I think for Halloween, she did Hocus Pocus and what was it? Practical Magic with the big
Ooh,
wings and the blowing out the candle. It was a full moon.
yeah.
But from that, I was so interested to learn more about the other creator with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she does that often, and I'm sure that's a mutual beneficial benefiting them, but also like leads way to a more creative idea because you have someone else involved with you.
Yeah.
Influencing can also, be very solo in itself, and that project is just you and you're creating something. You might have your family
Mhm.
involved or a friend on occasion, but I think it is nice to have someone else there. And then also Courtney's someone who has also been in the space for a long time and is often saying, for those of you who have been here, um,
Yeah.
for like I would say like famous lines is for those of you who have been here since like the Fray days because she was in
Yeah.
the video for the Fray when she was like 15. So people have followed her online since.
Yeah.
So I love that idea. I feel like I just saw someone recently, just yesterday, create a post and it's like, I have some new followers here. I want to introduce myself. For those of you who remember, I did this and that. And like that's a
Yeah.
sum it up. Even if it's just a reminder for those who have already followed you already, you might not recognize that, oh, they love tennis and I don't see them talk about it often enough, but I love it. Maybe I'll reach out about this
Yeah.
specific kid or lesson or something like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, wonderful. I know we've touched on obviously TikTok. I feel like that is such a big platform obviously in the space and they've gone through some changes recently, but thought I'd ask if you feel like there are, big key differentiators between strategy with different platforms. We've got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I mean, we've got the whole kind of gamut. And I know as individuals working with clients, they often, I'll throw Pinterest out there as well. Pinterest is
Yeah.
of ours, and each of them are looking for something different, but wanted to see if you had any specifics in terms of strategy that you might suggest or recommend to an individual who's like, I'm not really sure where to spend my time, or what can I do to make my TikTok that much better, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, I think like one of the key differences is probably like the content length.
Mhm.
Per obviously, like YouTube, you've got a longer video, so it's like an evergreen piece of content. And TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest are a little bit shorter. So I feel like kind of defining what your niche is also will help like determine which platform you feel like is probably the best to push the content on. For TikTok, and I would say probably Instagram, and potentially Pinterest too. Like the algorithm is really important. So that'll like help with your content too, depending on, if you're providing hashtags or like specifics like that too. Um, but yeah, I feel like that first step would be determining like how long of a video, if you're going into the video space, like do you plan to record, and how much information you are providing in those videos, and then determine like what platform would be potentially the best one from you from there.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of brings up the idea too of like diversifying. I feel
Yeah.
like TikTok has shown us that things can change within minutes.
Yeah.
I There are many of us who remember Vine. Vine was here and gone
Yes.
very quickly, and there were people who lost millions of followers in a matter of seconds. So wanted to see if you have any thoughts on diversifying your content. Like, how important is it? Do I need to keep up with my Instagram, my TikTok, my Pinterest, my Facebook, or can I really dial in on one? Wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah. I would say it's important to diversify your content. And I feel like I share this with a lot of my friends that happen to be creators too. It's never going to be like much of a harder task to just syndicate your content to another platform. And you might not have like the level of following on Pinterest that you have on Instagram, but there might be some other factors involved when brands are looking for creators. Nowadays people are looking for micro influencers, or maybe they're not interested in reach, they're really just interested in that quality of content. So that being said, like syndicate your content, because it's really only going to take an extra like five minutes, maybe less, to just get it to post. I know a lot of the platforms you can also automatically have it post onto Facebook or YouTube or YouTube Shorts, whatever it might be. And it's just extra exposure for yourself as a creator. So why not do it? Because there might be a collaboration that comes up and a brand is looking for an influencer, and maybe they're looking for your specific niche, and they find it on that other platform that you're not as popular on, but they're willing to pay the same price. So I think it is extremely important to just, you know, be diverse on every platform.
I agree. I had a question here about live streaming, and I'm
Yes.
remembering correctly when I put this in there. There's a lot of opportunity there, and I was thinking for my specific background, I've worked within the space of TikTok Live, but there's also Instagram Live, there's Twitch,
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity there, and wanted to see if you had any thoughts in terms of like that real-time engagement. Like, does that change the game, you think, for people? Is that a new opportunity to tap into? Is it something that's going to be sticking around? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, kind of similar to like syndicating content, I don't think it hurts. Like, why not give it a try? You're going to reach like a different variety of audience on live stream. And the way TikTok works too is I could be scrolling on my feed just looking at, videos that people have posted weeks ago, whatever it might be. And that live video from a creator might pop up, and if I'm interested, I might stay on it and I might not even follow you. So that's like a really crazy way of getting followers that are completely like not even close to like following your content. You know, they might think you're funny on that live stream or whatever it might be. And then they've found you through that algorithm on TikTok. So I do think it's, you know, as a creator, it could be, it might be like a scary thought, but why not give it a try? Maybe collaborate, like we said, like collaborate with another creator on live and see if it works. I also think there's so many other like avenues through live, like people are doing like donations or subscriptions, there's live gifting, there's a lot of ways to like really as brands work with creators through lives too. I know FYI has done a few live streams on Twitch, and they were really successful too. So yeah, I feel like it doesn't hurt to try, and there's just so many other ways to promote brands and topics and things that are outside of that like in-feed content.
Yeah. You bring up a really good point about the subscriptions. I mean, obviously, Instagram has a subscription section that you can subscribe to and pay a fee to see extra content from your favorite creators, but also Substack, which I feel like is the new and improved blog. I think everyone has one nowadays, in a really like genuine and positive way. But I love that we're going back to blogging, you know, that I'm
Yes.
old school in that sense, and I love that. But it's you know, it's just a way to have a little bit more of long form content there, another avenue for brands to be involved in. You know, it's all about talking about, you know, the latest and greatest conversations, whether
Yeah.
clothes, fashion, health, food, whatever it may be, and then having that linking space too. I think we often forget about like how important that linking and that SEO is. You know, we're all in a very much fast moving social. I mean, social moves so quickly. And like you said, there are different algorithms that I think do lend themselves more to, I would say, you know, to the audience's benefit. So you could see something that was posted 2 weeks ago that might just look like it was posted today because it's coming up in your feed.
Yeah.
Seeing it because it was relevant to you, not necessarily because you were following that person or
Yeah.
because someone sent it to you. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to grow. But back to the subscription piece, I feel like Substack is really proving that out, and we're seeing a lot of creators be successful with that. I know for me, I'm so interested in it. I think a lot of people have, you know, they'll have a sliding scale of, you know, you could contribute, maybe it's $5 a month or
Yeah.
$2, whatever it may be. They have different levels and different perks of it. And I think it's a really great new way and revenue of bringing in more dollars from creators. I mean, that's, I think, one of the biggest questions we get is like, how do I, you know, move up my income? How do I work with brands? I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah.
Want to know if you had any thought on that too, in terms of the brand piece. Obviously, we work with many different brands here, all different types, in many different spaces. And we have a different variety of ways through our FYA platform that an individual can work with the brand. But wanted to see if you had any thoughts on making those connections and working more with brands for an influencer who's trying to, you know, dive more into the space.
That's a great question. And that's another question too for any of my friends that are in the space. I always recommend this to them too. Like organically, if you like a brand, organically post them and share them with your audience, like in a sense that maybe you aren't getting paid for that story slide or that post, but if you really are somebody that believes in that brand, why not share it? Because I am a firm believer of a lot of those brands are watching on platforms, even if they have a million followers. You know, Dove is such an iconic big brand with a lot of followers, but they do have a social team that's probably checking some of those story slides. So don't be afraid to tag them. Even if it's in TikTok, like give a review. The chances of them wanting to work with you are higher if that video performed well, or if they see that you are an authentic fit, that you have that level of curiosity for the brand and also want to promote them. I firmly believe that the chances of them working with you are pretty strong. Another side of it is like our team, we're often tasked with sourcing for influencers that have spoken about a specific brand. So, you know, maybe it's, you know, the Gap or something like that, and they are like, hey, we'd love to work with influencers who love the Gap and who have worked with the Gap in the past. And our team will then go out and check hashtags, we'll check tags, things like that for creators that have posted within that space and with that brand in the past, and then we'll present them to the brand. So it's another way of like getting getting in front of the brand without like reaching out to them directly. But I don't think there's anything wrong with reaching out to the brands directly too. You can shoot them a DM, or if you can find an email, you can send them an email, and just share like, hey, I've been a fan of yours for many years. Like, I'd love to partner together. Like, let's talk about potentially doing a collaboration. I know brands really appreciate that too.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to talk on and touch on that you mentioned, but one of them you were saying, we here at FYI, we have a team that works with sourcing different influencers for a variety of activations. And we do that, you said, by searching hashtags or
Yep.
captions. We have that system built into our FYI platform, which is really
Yes.
lucky for us. So that's always a good benefit. And again, if you've mentioned it, it'll pop up for us.
Mhm.
And then you were talking about, not being afraid to tag. I always recommend that too. I think over the years, the idea of like tagging someone or promoting something for free has gotten a bad reputation. And
Yeah.
I say that, very thoughtfully, that I recognize the impact that it has on both sides. But I also say if it's someone that you're really interested in and excited about, it's an authentic connection for you and you want to share with your audience, don't be afraid to. Like you said, someone's always watching on social, someone's always
Definitely.
eye on that. And I know we've been lucky enough in the past to, when we get to work with a brand through an activation, they'll say, hey, I have this creator. I've worked with them for years, or I really like this person. Would you mind reaching out to them? So being in with the know with the brand is always good, but also it's really great when we hear from them that they have someone that they like and want us to, whether you're already in our platform or to reach out to you and have you join, there's always an opportunity there. Um,
Yeah.
and I'll throw it out there, just a little self-promotion. Always recommend, like, if you have your FYI profile, make sure that you're connected. Um,
Yes.
make sure that you're filling out all the surveys that come your way. Make sure that you are up to date with everything within your profile, because that's how our team is, finding influencers. And also, we have self-service clients who are saying, I want to use your platform to find different influencers, and they're searching based off of hashtag, categories, different things that you will fill out and make sure are up to date. They're going to find you that way. So,
Yeah.
and that too.
Yeah, that being said too, the like my favorite tool within the platform is like if you've even spoken on a specific brand, like maybe it's CeraVe, the face wash, if you have had one post with them, our platform will, if when we type that into our search box, it'll populate your profile immediately. And often my team and I use that to then share that creator with a brand and put them on an influencer deck. So that is a really cool feature that we do have. And so yeah, like put the name in your caption or tag them, whatever it is, because it will populate for us when we search for creators talking about that brand.
Yes, definitely. I was just looking over my notes and I feel like we've gone through our questions so
Yeah.
quickly. And we had a couple more on authenticity and trust and growth. And I feel like we really touched upon that. Maybe I'll just throw it out there. If someone does have a question about those or anything else, go ahead and
Yeah.
put it away so we can answer that at the end. But I wanted to talk about this really cool article that you sent my way
Oh yeah.
that was about Heidi Montag and her kind of
Yes.
15-year-old album and the resurgence of it. Would you want to give a little bit of background on that?
Yes. I just thought this was just like the craziest, coolest story to hit influencer marketing like this year. And it just sparked so much interest, and it was also trending on TikTok for before I dive too deep into it, I'll give a little explanation. But uh, unfortunately, with the Palisades fires, obviously a lot of influencers, but also families and friends and things like that were affected by those fires, which absolutely so terrible, and really sad. But we did see the community come together in ways that, you know, were absolutely incredible, to help each other. And with that came this story on Heidi Montage. Unfortunately, her family had lost their home in the fires in California, the Palisade fires, and they reached out through TikTok for help. And with that, TikTok did its magic, and her song from 15 years ago, the song is "I'll Do It." I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. It gained an immense amount of traction, which is like absolutely crazy. And with that, she was gaining money through the song being played and reused for other videos. So lots of influencers, but also just like people throughout the whole entire world were using her song within their videos to help promote her song and to help uh, you know give back to them and their family. And it was able to hit #1 on iTunes. And the craziest part about this whole story is that the song, like you said, Chelsea, was 15 years old. So the fact that it just turned around, and back when it came out 15 years ago, it was like a total flop. Like it wasn't doing well. It wasn't gaining that traction, and it wasn't getting the same attention that it was today. So with that, like TikTok, I mean, it really, really played a huge presence in this whole entire story, and it was really just the craziest thing. I'm sure for anybody that is on TikTok, you guys probably saw these videos. There was like major brands picking them up, replaying the songs. A lot of the cast from The Hills were replaying the songs too. And lots of restaurants like throughout the LA area were also partnering with them. I know like La La Cafe, it's a famous coffee shop in LA. They were replaying the song. They came out with like a coffee named after them, and I think it was like the Spidey coffee or something like that. So they were really looking to TikTok for that extra layer of help. And I just thought that was like such a beautiful story too, because it was a time of absolute trauma, like very, very sad and devastating time for the world. And they were able to kind of look to TikTok for extra help. And yeah, it's really cool. I think a lot of people will look back on that story and remember it forever. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on that story too, because I know that we both thought
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Right. When you sent it to me, I was so already deep into what
Yeah.
was going on in the situation. And like you said, obviously it comes from a very serious moment. They lost their home. I know that they also had family members lose their home, and they have two young kids. So there was a lot to digest. Like you said, a lot of trauma. And I, like anyone, felt glued to my phone when I would see Heidi's husband, Spencer, post about what he was trying to do. And essentially he said, I'm trying to support my family. Like, can we
Mhm.
do this? Can we make this song #1? And it was like every update, it was something positive. And it was so encouraging to see like that community, like you said, come around them. Back in the day, for those who watch The Hills, like Heidi and Spencer were the villains, if you will.
Yes.
One that wasn't well liked, and to see them now turn around and be in a place where people are encouraging them, they are pushing them
Yeah.
forward. As a mom of two young boys as well, they through all of this have made really cool and interesting connections. Blippi is like a cartoon in real life character that makes shows for little kids, and one of their boys is very into the Blippi character and
Yes.
able to connect and meet with him in real life, as he also had lives in the area. I believe he was affected, but was, a part of that rally to make sure that those who needed help are supported. And just to see everything blossom from such devastation was so beautiful. And like you said, I think this will be something that people will remember for a long time, but it really shows you the power of social and how it can be used for good and change lives really quickly. And I think those are the best kind of stories. We all love to see kind of an underdog come out of that, and especially a situation where it was so needed. But I loved when you sent that to me and you said, "Have you?"
Yeah.
Because I was so into it. I was watching the
Yeah.
updates, and the videos themselves, like with Spencer posting, they weren't anything outrageous. Like it was just him
Oh,
being honest. And I think that's what brought a lot of people in
yeah.
and made them want to support them. I saw people like you said, from The Hills, Paris Hilton, like everyone was
Yeah.
using that song to promote, to help push it further. So from them, they're not only getting monetization, through video and music plays, which I know is from what I hear is on the lower end in terms of being an artist, but also through TikTok as well. He was also gaining monetization from his videos. Like he blew up
Yeah.
within his social following, and same with Heidi. And I'm sure it will only continue today. I feel like I continue to see things and
Yeah.
love them or dislike them. I know they all have, things still. Like I think there are people who might feel a different way about it, but I think that would
Totally.
advantage. And again, is just like a beautiful sentiment about how things can really change quickly and for the good. I know that they have been conscious too of what's going on with everyone else in the space as they continue to move forward with what's next for them and their
Yeah.
life, their neighbors and community around them. But that was, I mean, what a moment to just see all
Yeah.
in real time too. And I'm not sure if we'll see something like that happen again. That was such a
Yeah.
unique and interesting way to have something come back to life so quickly and through the ways that it did. So I just love
Yeah.
that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's crazy the power of like TikTok and just the power of social media and influencer marketing. And this is like a little bit of a different story, but I am seeing a lot of people post on TikTok too. Like maybe it's a restaurant that their parents opened and it's not doing that well, and they'll say, they'll show a video of the empty restaurant, and they're kind of using the power of social media and TikTok to then spark interest and have, the community come and check out the restaurant. And there's been a lot of restaurants in Arizona is picking up on that trend too, and they're starting to become really popular. So that is a really cool way of using social media, and I think you can never really underestimate the power that it has.
Yeah, even after all these years, right? If
Yeah,
some people feel like everything's been done, if there's someone in the space who's like, I'm a micro influencer, but I feel like there's not any room for me, there is room.
yeah,
Let's encourage that and make sure that everyone is, just know that, how do they say, like pie in the sky, the world is yours. You can do anything that you want, especially in this space. I think there's still a lot to be had, and we only see the growth. I feel like for every article that I see that's talking about the future within influencer marketing, it's just growing by the billion every single year, billion.
yeah,
So it's
crazy.
yeah, and it's something that's to be here. I know that's a conversation that happens. Will these social platforms be here in 10 years? I think we do see obviously the power of what can change so quickly,
Mhm.
but also just the overall presence that social and influencer work has within everyone's lives is pretty poignant, and would encourage anyone who wants to be in that space to do so. I know I should take my own bit of advice too, in spending more time in those areas because it is something enjoyable. And I think,
Yeah,
there are many people who see it purely as a business, which it very much is. But I want to make sure that, those who whether it's very serious in their business or just having fun with it, they recognize it's also for enjoyment, it's for fun, it's supposed to be something that you enjoy and love, and only do it if you feel in the space to do so. So also encourage that. We hear a lot about burnout.
yeah,
Seeing that conversation go around a lot lately, and I think a post 2020 world, 2020, excuse me, 2020 world, we hear a lot about that within the space too. So well, one other question, I throw it out there for any questions, put them in the Q&A, but you mentioned AI earlier, and I had a question about this too, and I
yes,
thought we could kind of pose it here to wrap things up.
yeah.
How do you think AI is going to impact the way influencers create content or engage with their audience? What do you think, the future holds for AI within the influencer marketing space?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is, really stepping up too. We're seeing it in all different aspects, especially within the influencer industry. Now AI can generate a caption, which is crazy. And a lot of creators talk about it too in the space for editing purposes as well. So I think that's really helpful because I do think within editing, I know that there's a lot of influencers that hires people to edit videos, or that's something they struggle with. Like maybe their video content hasn't become viral or hasn't got that traction that they were expecting because they struggle with the editing process. So I think AI editing is extremely cool too, and something that people will lean into um, a lot. But I do think AI in general is just going to kind of change the flow and change the way that social media um, kind of moves the direction that it moves into in the next few years. But I think there's a lot of like exciting opportunities that will support influencers in specific ways. Um, but I will say some of the AI that gets me is like those they'll put out like AI like pictures of Taylor Swift with like getting married, and I'm like, can you stop
Yes.
that because that's not helping me.
Yes, yes. There's a whole nother side to
Yeah,
AI.
there's another side for sure.
Yes, yes, I agree with you, especially in the editing front. I know personally, I've used that before.
Yeah.
Adobe Photoshop, they have a great AI tool and it helps you just get rid of something that you don't want there. I mean, there has been that tool for a long time. And I think people's argument is that, they can do this as well. But it is nice for maybe someone who's not as skilled in that space to have the opportunity to do those things. And again, if they are able to do something like video editing more quickly, that might give them more time and space to work in other ways that might help
Mhm.
their growth. I know if you go on Instagram and you are searching for something, that AI is right there and it's
Yeah.
able to generate something for you. I've seen it
It
with,
can generate DMs now too, I believe.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah.
crazy too. If you have you are a creator that's wanting to engage with your audience often, but there's a mass amount of DMs, like that is a potential way of doing it. But I will say there's probably two sides to the story there too, because you obviously want to be authentic and like ensure that it's yourself speaking, and you probably want to have eyes on like what those DMs are that are being sent out. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's probably some pros and cons there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we'll learn more about what those are.
Mhm.
I mean, AI has been around for quite a while now, but I
Yeah,
think it's still relatively new within the space. And I'm curious to see where it will take us. And
yeah,
creators will use it if it's something that comes up in terms of advertisers want to be aware of when it's being used. I know that YouTube flags that you have to share if something was created using AI if it's posted.
yeah, that's right.
That's a request of them just to know that there are pieces of content out there that have used these resources to create something, because like you said, you might see a video of Taylor Swift getting married and not know
Yeah,
it's not real, because that happens too. But I
yeah,
do there are a lot of benefits for using it to help support captions, editing. I mean, there's so many more ways, but
totally.
well, I'll throw it out there if anyone has any questions. I mean, I know we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah,
Exciting. But I've really enjoyed talking with you today, Avalon. And if no one has any questions, we can wrap up a couple minutes early. But again, I know we covered a lot and there's so much more to say. I would encourage you guys to find both myself and Avalon on LinkedIn. We would love to connect with you. Start those conversations over there. Don't be afraid to send a message. Again, we are always open and looking to connect with creators and advertisers alike. And then we have a Facebook group called DFY by Find Your Influence. So just similar to the name here, and it's over on Facebook. And we post there daily, and it's just a pure conversation about what's going on in the space. So latest news, things happening, reports that are coming out, anything like that. So we would love to have you. And want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been really special. And thank you, Avalon. Yeah, it was wonderful having this conversation with you.
thank
I'm so
you.
grateful for your time and having you on your first webinar. I'm sure there will be
Hmm.
more to come as well.
Yes, it was so much fun. Thank you guys for listening. And yeah, I'm excited to connect with a few of you guys offline and continue this conversation.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, stay tuned for next month's webinar. We'll be announcing it soon. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.